Stop that, stop that.
So, quick recap. This is mainly about diorama and terrain building and stuff. I'm not going to recap all the other crap that I've talked about. Material-wise, you have to go with what you got, okay? Or what you can find, what you can afford, okay? You can make stuff out of cereal boxes, cardboard. I mean, I've got a couple examples of builds there. One building out of, this foam pink stuff. It comes in big sheets, or it comes in blue, or yellow if you're over in the overseas, Europe. It's harder to find over there. It's harder to find in various spots, But you can use the white stuff, where is it? See that, all the white shit there? You can make nice stuff with that. I'll show you a couple examples. Like, here's a building. It's not finished, of course, but you add piping to it and stuff, and just kind of work with the shape of the building that they give you, or rubbleize it a little bit. There's just some broken pieces. There's just a broken corner of one, and it all kind of fits together, so it's like a big complex, type thing. This is more pink stuff. This is their expanding foam. You can do stuff with that. It's a little bit harder to work with. Or, like cardboard, or this is Coroplast. It's like that foam core board, with the paper on each side, but it's all made out of plastic. So, I mean, or wood. Wood is a good one. Wood is a good one. I mean, it requires some tools to work with, but this stuff here, really all you need is a little scalpel knife, a saw. Saw works good for cutting it straight, or, there's techniques for working with any of it, The white stuff, the pebbly crap, tends to get in your way, okay? Can you see pebbly white stuff in there? Maybe not on that one. On this one you can. Okay. See how it gets that pebbly shit in there? Okay, well sometimes that, really, depending on what you're doing, that'll piss you off. So you can coat that with paper, heavy paper, and just glue paper right over the foam, and then do your detailing on the paper, You can build up layers of press board. Use stuff like cereal box or food packaging type press board box, and then just cut out, layers, and you build up, layer it, Looks pretty good, actually, depending on what you're doing. You can add stuff to your buildings. I don't know if I have one here, but here, let's say on this one here. Well, like here, see, these shingles that I'm putting on here are made from cereal boxes and stuff. And you can do, you can do window, your door jambs or your trim. See how I've got trim around, where is it? There, around this big door there. Well, that could have been just paper glued on there too, Thick paper. That works pretty good. In fact, this whole inside roof there, you can see, is the cereal. So, I mean, material-wise, yeah, just got to go with what you can. Same thing with the base, I like using this stuff. It's a hardboard. We call it hardboard up here. Comes in 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch, depending on the size of the piece that you're building. 1/8 inch is more than adequate. 4x8 sheet up here is about $10, $10-12, depends. Okay. Other than that, I mean, you can use this K-board, or you can use, this stuff here. It's called MDF. It depends on where you find it, Or I mean, this stuff is really hard shit, It's floor tile, floor stuff. But just save old bits of plywood, and then the other thing is you can use cardboard or that foam board for your bases too. That works quite fine. Coat it down with a mixture of white glue and your paint, and then it stiffens up everything. White glue and paint all over that base will really make it stiff if you're using cardboard or press board. And okay, so that pretty much covers building stuff, as far as base materials. Okay, techniques we'll go into as we go along, But for materials, I mean, you just got to go with what you got, okay? Or what you can afford. I mean, if you can afford stuff, yeah, send away and get nice well, you can cast shit too, you know, but then you're usually dealing with molds, right? So then you gotta come up with molds. Up here, I'm gonna put this on the shit on the yeah, never mind. This thing. I'm gonna put it on that thing, tripod, and then add the power cord in, so I'm not using batteries. But as for molds, here, let me just zoom in here. See that plastic stuff? You know, food packaging crap? I use that for a lot of molds, you know. I make molds too. Whoop, a little close. I make molds too, but I mean, hey, for quickie stuff, that stuff is neat, man. Just save some of that, hey. So anyways, yeah, let me put this on detail thing, whatever this tripod with the power thing, and then we'll go into other material stuff. Other than that, yeah, just save crap, eh? That's the other thing. Yeah, you know, save broken toys, and you can do a lot of stuff with some of this, you know, broken stuff. Really, you can. Old models, I find models, and I'll buy those. Okay. Floral plants, you can cut leaves out of this. Just because the leaf doesn't look right, you could cut this into smaller leaves, okay, and it doesn't look too bad. And the armatures that some of the leaves that you pull off, you can actually make cool trees out of those if you want. What else for material wise? This evergreen plastic stuff, a lot of people use that for building too, and I mean, depending on what you're making, hey, or how fussy you are. This stuff, man, you can get a lot of different stuff on it. If you're doing it commercially, you know, you're building shit for somebody else or trying to sell, then it gets kind of expensive, hey. There's a lot more dollar store stuff coming out too, eh? This is called craft fiber sheet, you know, and really it's kind of like the furnace filter that I use for making my trees with. It's a lot thinner. You can see it's a lot thinner, and it comes dyed various colors. There's a light green, here's a dark green, there's a white in there, but I haven't found much of a use for it yet. But it's kind of cool stuff. What other shit should a guy collect? There's all my rejects. You should always collect your rejects too. Crap. Oh yeah, popsicle sticks and stuff. See, like, here's a bigger board that I was working on a long time ago. You know, I use like coffee stir sticks for your floor pieces coming out. You know, on that foam core board, this is good. You know, using it as a second level inside. This whole building's made out of it. Hey, that's why it's thin. That, you know, and then it's coated with my goop mixture. This piece of foam on top is just glued on top. Hey, I'll show you. And then it gives you can press into it or cut little notches out of it, right? That will give you, you know, your building stuff. And then these, you can see those are just glued on, not even straight here. Same thing with the bricks. The bricks are just paper. That's what I was talking about with the cardboard. You could glue it onto your white foam, you know, and you can see here that I didn't have my mixture quite right. Actually, what happened was when my goop mixture I use, well, here, I'll tell you about it. But anyways, when I did my goop mixture, this is one thing that'll kind of piss you off if you're not careful, is your plaster, if you add it in too quick, or if you add it in wrong, it pills on you, and you get these little lumps of uncolored plaster, and they're actually white inside, eh? So they'll show up really quite a bit on your terrain, eh? So you got to work with your plaster a bit when you mix it in. So I use, for my goop mixture, which is the coating that I use on all my terrain, eh? Let me show you again. So this is the stuff that gives you this, you know, texture, you know, that you can then, you know, paint and stuff, and it makes it tough, okay? So this is the pink stuff, and you can see it's quite tough. And then this is the same stuff coated on, you know, the white foam, which really toughens it up too, eh? But I use it on everything pretty much, you know. It's just kind of a nice textured coating, eh? And you can add stuff to it to thicken it up if you want to, you know. So plaster of Paris. It comes in a big bag. It's nice and cheap if you buy it in the big bag. It's really expensive if you buy it in little containers or little boxes. So that big bag is about the price of 2 of those little boxes. Okay, so yeah, you got a lot of it, but then you can play around with it. You can do a bunch of shit. You can try casting some stuff, hey? You can do a bunch of stuff with it. So I mean, save up and get a bigger bag so that you can experiment with, hey? Oh, speaking of stuff, hey, like you can see, I save all different types of, you know, my rocks and sands. I'll sort out. I'll run them through filters, so I've got, you know, fine stuff, a little bit thicker, a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger, you know, because depending on what you're doing, it's really important to have the right scale of rock and stuff, you know. You don't want to have rocks that are too big, like here, like down on my feet. You can see the size of those rocks compared to the size of my feet. Well, these are actually pretty big. This is almost friggin' gravel, eh? You know, and you can see that there's like 75 of them that goes across my feet. So if you go out to sand, that's even finer. So depending what kind of ground you're doing, you want to have your sand and your little rocks the right size, eh? Otherwise it really looks stupid. So depends, but to me it does. Okay, now back to collecting supplies and stuff. Various paints, man. These are like cloth paints or acrylic paints for painting on clothing and stuff. But I mean, I found them. That's when I turned off the camera. Sorry about that. Anyways, I found them at a junk store for $1. Okay. These are tempera powder paints, which, I mean, they're kind of cool too, eh? You know, you can do some neat things with that. You sprinkle it down on top of your terrain dry, and then mist it, and then the colors will kind of, depends on if some people like flocking, and some people just like painting their terrain and their pieces, you know. So their ground and grass and stuff, they'll have it painted rather than actual little bit of flocking. Flocking is that, you know, you know what flocking is. It's the little grass pieces that you put on there, hey, little foam bits and stuff like that. Static grass, and that's called flocking. So some people like paint and some people like flocking. Okay, I like flocking. But that stuff, if you're just painting or if you got ground and stuff, you can do some really neat coloring techniques with it. And same thing with stains down walls and stuff, eh? So anyways, if you can find a bunch for cheap, grab it. That's what I do. I collect all kinds of stuff, eh? Like why I never finished telling you about the goop mixture. Okay, you take that plaster of Paris, which is actually an optional. No, it's not. It depends. No, it's not optional. Never mind. Start again. The goop recipe. I did another video. It's on right after this one. So if you really want to listen to a bunch more on goop, that's the next video. Okay, and I'll call it Steve's goop recipe. Okay. Anyways, take that plaster of Paris and you mix that into your white glue and latex, acrylic latex caulking mix, okay? You gotta mix your acrylic latex caulking, stuff that they go around the windows with a caulking tube, you know, take that stuff, because it's cheap, you get about 4 tubes for about 10 or 12 bucks up here. Mix that in with your white glue. I like Well Bond, but white glue, plain, you know, LePage's or Elmer's white glue, that works good, okay? And I usually go about 50-50, maybe up to about 30-70, depending on what kind of white glue I'm using, or depending on how much I've got, okay? So anyways, 50-50 is really good, man. If you can afford that, go for it. Otherwise, you know, 30-70 with the acrylic latex, you know, acrylic caulking, 70% of that, 30% glue. Mix that up really good. Add water to how much goop mix that you're going to need, you know, so, you know, up to there, however much water, and then you add in your plaster of Paris to thicken it up to however consistency you want. This stuff works too. Okay, anyways, there's a whole bunch of it that on the next video. Okay, sorry about that.